"Sell me these roses in Arabic and I'll pay you $100,000, the millionaire mocked, then froze in place when he heard her speak. The florist's hands trembled as she held the bouquet. Her apron was stained from long hours in the shop, and her eyes, though tired, carried a quiet dignity, the kind that only people who've known loss can wear. Outside, the city buzzed, cars honking, people laughing, life moving too fast, but inside that tiny flower shop, time stopped. He had entered with arrogance, the way men who never heard the word no tend to walk. Dressed in a sharp suit, sunglasses perched on his head, he looked more like a man stepping off a yacht than into a flower shop. His name was Zayn Malik, a self-made millionaire known for his charm and cruelty in equal measure. Women adored him, competitors feared him, and employees obeyed him. But behind that perfectly built image, Zayn was a man who'd forgotten what kindness felt like. And that day, he wanted amusement, not flowers. "Sell me these roses," he said, holding up a crimson bouquet, "but do it in Arabic. If you manage that, I'll pay you $100,000. The florist looked up, startled. Her name was Layla. Her dark hair was tucked beneath a faded scarf, and her lips quivered as she struggled to understand his words. In Arabic, she whispered. "Yes," he smirked. "You're in my country, aren't you? Let's see if you can even speak the language." His tone dripped with mockery, his words sharp enough to wound. For a moment, Layla said nothing. Then she slowly took the roses from his hand and began to speak, softly at first, her voice trembling like wind brushing petals. A rose is a language that needs no translation. It's sold by the heart, not by money. Zayn froze. He didn't understand Arabic well, but he felt something in the rhythm of her tone, something warm, something deeply human. The way she spoke wasn't rehearsed, it was real. She went on, her eyes glistening. "My mother taught me that flowers are alive. They feel who they're going to. When a rose meets a kind soul, it blooms longer. But when it's given without heart, it withers fast." Zayn's mocking smile faded. He hadn't expected poetry. He hadn't expected truth. Layla bowed her head slightly and wrapped the bouquet. "That will be $20, sir." He didn't speak. He just stared. The world outside seemed to fade, the traffic, the noise, everything. Only her words echoed in his mind. Sold by the heart, not by money. He paid her, in silence, and walked out. But something in him had shifted. For the first time in years, Zayn Malik felt small. That night, he couldn't sleep. Her words wouldn't let him. He searched her name, found nothing. Just a small flower shop, barely surviving. He told himself it was curiosity, nothing more. But the truth was, he was haunted. He drove back the next morning, early, before sunrise. The shop was still closed, but through the window, he saw her arranging flowers, her hands moving gently, lovingly. She didn't know anyone was watching. When he finally entered, she looked surprised. "You again?" He nodded. "I came for more roses." "Red again?" she asked softly. He shook his head. "White." Her hands paused. "White is for forgiveness," she said quietly. He looked at her, eyes dark and heavy. "Then I guess that's what I need." Layla smiled faintly, her sadness wrapped in kindness. "We all do, sometimes." Days turned into weeks. Zayn kept visiting, always buying flowers he didn't need, always asking questions he didn't understand why he was asking. Slowly, Layla's story unfolded. She had come from Syria, a refugee who'd lost everything, her father in the war, her brother to the sea, her dreams to the borders that never opened. The flower shop wasn't hers, she worked there for an old widow who'd taken her in. Every petal she touched, every bouquet she wrapped, was her way of keeping her heart from breaking completely. And somehow, this hardened millionaire began to see the world differently through her eyes. One evening, he found her outside the shop, crying quietly. "What happened?" he asked. "The shop owner, she's selling this place. I can't afford to buy it. After next week, I'll have nowhere to go." He wanted to tell her not to worry, that he could fix everything with a single phone call. But something in her tears stopped him. He realized this wasn't about saving her. It was about understanding her. So he simply said, "Come with me." Zane took her to his company headquarters, a skyscraper that touched the clouds. Everyone stared, confused, as the CEO walked in with a girl in a faded scarf holding wilted roses. He led her to the rooftop garden, a place he hadn't visited in years. He looked at her and said softly, "I built this building to prove I was powerful. But I never built a single thing with heart. You showed me what that means." He reached into his coat and pulled out a document. "This building has 120 floors," he said. "But I want one of them to be yours. A flower boutique, yours to run, yours to name." Layla's eyes widened in disbelief. "Why me?" "Because when I mocked you," he said quietly, "you didn't answer with anger. You answered with beauty. And you sold me something that money couldn't buy, humility." Her lips trembled. "I can't accept." "You already have," he interrupted gently, placing a single white rose in her hand. "And it's worth more than $100,000. Months later, people lined up every day at the 50th floor of Malik Towers, where Layla's garden opened. Customers weren't just buying flowers, they were buying meaning, hope, and humanity. Zane often visited quietly, watching her smile, her laughter filling the air. She had changed him, not with lectures or pity, but with grace. One afternoon, a tourist asked him, "You own this building? How much did it cost you?" Zane smiled faintly. "More than I can count," he said, glancing at Layla through the glass wall. "But it's the only investment that ever made me rich." And sometimes, when the evening light fell through the glass and turned every rose golden, Layla would whisper the words she once said in that tiny shop, the words that changed everything. "Roses are sold by the heart, not by money." And now, even the millionaire believed it.